Who let that human battleship in? Galactic Empire panics as it breaches defenses. Story outline. 5 parts. Part 1. The impossible breach setting. The Caltherian Galactic Empire's most fortified border. The Crimson Barrier, a defensive network that has never been penetrated in 800 years. Opening scene. Imperial Fleet Command detects an anomaly. A single human vessel, the battleship Indomitable Dawn, has somehow passed through 17 layers of quantum shields, gravity wells, and automated defense platforms without triggering a single alarm. Key characters introduced: Captain Han Minho, commander of the Indomitable Dawn, a veteran of humanity's expansion wars. Calm, calculating, with a reputation for the impossible. Admiral Yoon Ji-won, head of the Caltherian Third Fleet tasked with intercepting the human ship. Arrogant and convinced of the Empire's superiority. Engineer Park Suji, chief engineer aboard the Indomitable Dawn, responsible for the ship's revolutionary phase-skip drive technology. Plot points. The Caltherian Empire has dismissed humanity as a primitive species confined to their small corner of space. The Indomitable Dawn appears on scanners only 12 light hours from the Imperial throne world of SciFiPrime. Admiral Yoon scrambles 300 warships to intercept while demanding answers. From Border Commander's flashback reveals Captain Minho's mission: deliver a diplomatic message that the Empire refused to acknowledge through normal channels. The Empire's Council convenes an emergency session. Paranoid about what other human capabilities they've underestimated, ending hook. The Indomitable Dawn broadcasts a simple message in perfect Caltherian. We came to talk. Will you listen now? Part 2. The encirclement setting. The void between star systems as the Caltherian fleet closes in, and aboard the Imperial throne world where panic spreads. Key characters introduced: Technician Kim Doyen, young weapons specialist aboard the Indomitable Dawn. Nervous but loyal Empress Velmora, ruler of the Caltherian Empire, centuries old, facing the first real challenge to her authority. Intelligence Officer Choi Hyunwoo, aboard the Indomitable Dawn, monitoring Caltherian communications and military response. Plot points. Admiral Yoon's fleet forms a sphere around the human battleship. Blocking all escape routes, Engineer Park explains to the crew how the phase-skip drive works. It doesn't move through space, but steps between quantum states. Imperial scientists frantically try to analyze scan data from the human ship. Finding their technology inexplicably advanced in specific areas, Captain Minho refuses to retreat, maintaining position while waiting for the Empire to establish diplomatic contact aboard SciFiPrime. The Empress receives conflicting advice: destroy the ship immediately versus capture it to steal the technology. Tensions rise as younger Caltherian officers want to fire first. While Admiral Yoon stalls, recognizing something is wrong. Character development. Kim Doyen reveals he volunteered for this mission because humanity needs to be seen as equals, not insects. Admiral Yoon begins questioning why a species they dismissed has technology. The Empire doesn't understand. Captain Minho shares with his crew why diplomacy at gunpoint sometimes works. They ignored our messages. They can't ignore our presence. Ending hook. The Caltherian fleet powers weapons, and Captain Minho gives a single order: activate Protocol Horizon. Part 3. The demonstration setting. The battlefield in space, and the war rooms of both human and Caltherian command centers. Key characters introduced: Navigator Lee Sora, helm officer of the Indomitable Dawn, expert in evasive maneuvers Grand Marshal Tekvar, Caltherian military supreme commander. Observing from the capital Dr. Shin Yuna, human xenodiplomat broadcasting from Earth, trying to reach the Caltherian government. Plot points. Protocol Horizon activates. The Indomitable Dawn creates dozens of quantum phase duplicates of itself. The Caltherian fleet finds itself surrounded by what appears to be an entire human armada. Admiral Yoon fires on multiple targets, but each shot passes through phantom ships. Engineer Park reveals this is a bluff. The ship can only maintain the illusion for 20 minutes. On Earth, Dr. Shin pleads with Caltherian diplomatic channels, explaining humanity only wants dialogue, not war. The Empress realizes the humans are demonstrating capability, not aggression. They could have attacked but chose deception instead. Captain Minho broadcasts technical data proving the duplicates are illusions. showing human willingness to be transparent character development. Navigator Lee keeps the ship in perfect position, despite 300 targeting locks, showing iron nerves. Admiral Yoon begins to respect the audacity of the human strategy. Kim Do-yeon mans weapons, but hopes they'll never need to fire. The Empress faces pressure from military hardliners who want to save face by destroying the human vessel Climax. Admiral Yoon makes a command decision. He orders his fleet to stand down without authorization from the capital. Ending hook. A single transmission arrives from Calthera. Prime, Captain Han Minho, you have the Empress's attention. Proceed to coordinates redacted. Come alone. Part 4. The negotiation setting. A neutral moon between systems where the meeting takes place, and flashbacks to how humanity prepared for this moment. Key characters introduced. Commander An Ji-hye, Security Chief of the Indomitable Dawn. Leading the small delegation, diplomat Oh Min-seok, the human ambassador joining Captain Minho for the meeting. Chancellor Vorsek, the Empress's chief negotiator, calculating and ancient plot points. Captain Minho, Commander An, and Diplomat Oh shuttle to the meeting coordinates. Flashbacks reveal humanity's decade-long preparation. Watching the Empire ignore smaller species, studying Caltherian psychology, developing breakthrough technologies specifically for this mission. The negotiation begins poorly. Chancellor Vorsek dismisses humanity's requests for recognition and trade rights. Captain Minho reveals uncomfortable truths. Human intelligence knows about the Empire's failing star drive technology, the rebellions brewing in outer territories, the resource shortages they're hiding. The Empress, watching via hologram, realizes humanity has been studying them far longer than they thought. Diplomat O proposes a partnership. Humanity's innovation in exchange for Caltherian resources and political recognition. Character development. Commander An notices Caltherian security details are more nervous than hostile. They're afraid Captain Minho shows diplomatic skill. Balancing threats with genuine offers of cooperation. Chancellor Vorsek's disdain slowly shifts to calculation as he realizes humanity could solve critical imperial problems. Engineer Park, monitoring from the ship, confirms the Caltherians are scanning Indomitable Dawn with every sensor they have. Tension point. A hardliner faction in the Caltherian military launches an unauthorized strike on the Indomitable Dawn. Ending hook. Admiral Yoon intercepts the strike force and demands they stand down. Committing treason to protect the human ship. Part 5. The new reality. Setting. The aftermath of the incident. Aboard the Indomitable Dawn, preparing to return home. And across the Galactic Empire as news spreads. Key characters. Resolution. All previously introduced characters reach their arc's conclusions. Plot points. Admiral Yoon's intervention prevents catastrophe, but he faces court-martial. The Empress makes a shocking decision. She pardons Yoon and accepts humanity's proposal. A treaty is signed. Humanity gains recognition as an independent power, trade agreements, and an embassy on SciFiPrime. The hardliners who launched the unauthorized strike are arrested, becoming scapegoats for the Empire's larger. Failure news spreads across the galaxy that a primitive species breached the Crimson Barrier and forced the Empire to negotiate. Other subjugated species begin questioning Caltherian dominance. The Indomitable Dawn begins its journey home. Hailed as the ship that changed everything, character resolutions. Captain Minho reflects on the cost of bold diplomacy and what humanity must do to maintain their new position. Engineer Park is already designing upgrades. Knowing the Caltherians will eventually develop countermeasures, Kim Do-yeon realizes this is just the beginning. Humanity is now a player in galactic politics. Admiral Yoon, pardoned, becomes an unlikely advocate for human Caltherian cooperation. The Empress privately admits to Chancellor Vorsek that humanity's audacity reminded her why the Empire grew stagnant. Dr. Shin on Earth celebrates the diplomatic breakthrough, while warning humanity must be prepared for what comes next. Themes resolved. Humanity's refusal to be ignored forces respect through capability and courage. The Empire's arrogance nearly caused a war they couldn't guarantee victory in. Sometimes breaking the rules is the only way to change them. The galaxy's power balance has permanently shifted. Final scene. Captain Minho stands on the bridge of Indomitable Dawn. watching the stars as they jump to FTL. He records a log entry. They asked who let that human battleship in. The answer is simple: we let ourselves in. And the galaxy will never be the same. Epilogue. 6 months later, 3 more human vessels arrive at different imperial borders. Each carries not weapons but trade goods and diplomats. The message is clear: humanity is here to stay. Themes throughout the story: HFY core. Human ingenuity, audacity, and refusal to accept limitations. Diplomacy through strength. Sometimes peace requires demonstrating capability. Underestimation. The danger of dismissing others based on assumptions. Courage versus recklessness. The line between bold action and suicide mission. Galactic politics. How one action can shift the balance of power. The sphere of warships tightened around the indomitable Dawn like a metal fist. Admiral Yoon stood on her command deck and watched the tactical display. Every exit was blocked. Every possible escape route was covered. The human ship was trapped perfectly. "Admiral, we have weapon locks on the target," her tactical officer reported. "All ships are ready to fire on your command." Yoon studied the human vessel on her screen. It still had not moved. Not 1 meter. The captain of that ship either had incredible confidence or was completely insane. Maybe both. "Hold your fire," she ordered. "I want to understand what I'm dealing with first." On board the indomitable Dawn, the mood was tense but controlled. Captain Minho walked slowly between the crew stations, checking displays and speaking quietly to his people. He knew they were scared. He was scared too. But fear was useless right now. "Captain, they have us locked," Kim Doyen said from weapons. His hands trembled slightly over his controls. 300 ships. I count over 9,000 targeting systems all pointed at us. "I can see that, Doyen," Minho replied calmly. "But notice what they're not doing. They're not firing. Yet," Doyen added quietly. Engineer Park Suji worked furiously at her station. Her fingers flew across the console as she monitored the phase skip drive. The system was still cooling down from their jump through the barriers. She had told the captain 2 hours. It had been 30 minutes. "How's our special system?" Minho asked, appearing beside her. Park did not look up. "Still warming up. But Captain, even when it's ready, we can't use it for long. The power drain is massive. 10 minutes maximum before we burn out the entire drive system. 10 minutes might be all we need. Or it might get us killed." Minho put a hand on her shoulder. "That's why you're the best engineer in the fleet, Suji. I trust you to keep us alive." Park finally looked at him. "I volunteered for this mission because I believed in it. Because humanity deserves to be heard. But sir, I didn't think we'd actually make it this far. I thought we'd die at the first barrier." "We're not dead yet." Minho smiled. "That's progress." Across the bridge, Officer Choi Hyun-woo listened to the Caltherian communication channels. He had spent 5 years learning their language. Another 3 years studying their military protocols. Now all that training was paying off. "Captain, you need to hear this," Choi said, playing an intercepted transmission. The voice was speaking rapid Caltherian. Choi translated simultaneously. "It's from their military command. They're arguing about us. Some want to destroy us immediately. Others want to capture the ship intact. There's a third group saying we should talk to us first." "Which group is winning?" Minho asked. "Hard to say. But the delays work in our favor. The longer they argue, the more time we have." "Time for what?" Kim Doyen asked nervously. "Time for them to think," Minho replied. "Time for curiosity to overcome anger. Time for questions to overcome pride." On the Caltherian flagship, Admiral Yoon received another transmission from the capital. This time it was the Empress herself. Yoon stood at attention even though Velmora could not see her. "Admiral Yoon, what is your assessment?" the Empress asked. "Your Majesty, the human ship is trapped. We can destroy it at any time. But I recommend we wait." "Wait?" Why, Yoon chose her words carefully. "Because we don't understand how they got through our barriers. If we destroy them now, we might never learn. And if they have this technology, they might have more ships. More captains willing to do the same thing." The Empress was silent for a moment. "You think this is a test? A demonstration?" "I think they're showing us what they can do, Your Majesty. They're saying they could have attacked but chose not to. They could have hidden but chose to be seen. Everything about this is deliberate. Then what do you suggest? Let me try to communicate with them. Ship to ship. Captain to captain. See what they really want." Another pause. "Very well. But Admiral, if they show any sign of aggression, destroy them immediately." We cannot appear weak. Yes, Your Majesty, the transmission ended. Yoon turned to her communication officer. Open a direct channel to the human ship. Captain only. On the indomitable dawn, an alert sounded. Captain, incoming transmission from the Caltherian flagship. It's Admiral Yoon. She wants to talk to you directly. Minho straightened his uniform. Put her through. Audio and visual. The main screen changed to show Admiral Yoon. She was tall and thin like most Caltherians. Her skin had a slight blue tint. Three eyes studied him carefully from her alien face. She wore an elaborate uniform covered in medals and rank insignia. Captain Han Minho, she said in accented but clear human language. I am Admiral Yoon Ji-won of the Caltherian Third Fleet. You are surrounded. You cannot escape. Explain your presence here. Minho bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. Admiral Yoon, thank you for speaking with me. My explanation is simple. For 10 years, humanity has tried to establish diplomatic contact with your empire. Every message was ignored. Every request was dismissed. We are here because we will not be ignored anymore. So you breach our most secure border? You violate our space? This is how you seek peace? This is how we demand to be seen, Minho replied. You treat humanity like insects. Like children playing at space travel. We needed to show you that we are neither. We are here. We are capable, and we deserve respect. Yoon's three eyes narrowed. Respect is earned, not demanded, Captain. You speak of peace while threatening our security. I speak of peace while demonstrating capability, Minho corrected. There is a difference. If we wanted war, Admiral, we would not have come alone. We would not have announced ourselves. We would not be talking right now. Then what do you want? Recognition. Diplomatic relations. Trade agreements. A seat at the table when galactic matters are discussed. The same things any civilization wants. The same things your empire denies us. Yoon was quiet for a moment. How did you get through the Crimson Barrier? Minho smiled slightly. That is one of many things we can discuss. If you're willing to talk like civilized beings instead of treating us like pests to be exterminated, you are in no position to make demands, human. I have 300 warships. You have one ship and no escape. True, Minho agreed. But I also have something you want. Knowledge, technology, answers to questions that keep your engineers awake at night. You can destroy me, Admiral. But then you'll never know how we did the impossible, and you'll always wonder if we can do it again. On Yoon's bridge, her officers watched the exchange. One of them, a young commander named Rektos, leaned forward. Admiral, he's bluffing. He must be, but Yoon was not so sure. The human captain's confidence was not bravado. It was certainty, like a card player who knew he held the winning hand. Captain Minho, I will take your words to my superiors, Yoon said carefully. But understand this. If you make any hostile move, any attempt to flee, my ships will fire. You will not survive. I understand, Admiral. We will wait. We have nowhere else to be. The transmission ended. Minho turned to his crew. Well done, everyone. Keep your stations. Stay alert. The next few hours will decide everything. Park Suji approached him again. Captain, the drive is almost ready. But sir, what if they decide to attack? We can't outrun 300 ships, and we don't need to outrun them, Suji. We just need to surprise them. One more time, Head Captain, Choi interrupted from his station. I'm picking up more transmissions. The Caltherian news networks are broadcasting the story. The whole empire knows we're here now. They're calling it the biggest security failure in centuries. Minho nodded slowly. Good. Public knowledge means they can't just make us disappear. Too many eyes watching now. Kim Doyen checked his sensors again. Captain, some of those Caltherian ships are moving closer, tightening the formation. Let them, Minho said. The closer they get, the better. Better for what? Minho walked to the center of the bridge and looked at the tactical display. 300 red dots surrounded one small blue dot. It looked hopeless, impossible. But then again, getting through the Crimson Barrier had looked impossible too. Better for what comes next, Minho said quietly. Park, how much longer on that drive? 15 minutes, Captain. Perfect. Everyone, prepare for Protocol Horizon. When we activate it, the Caltherians are going to see something they've never seen before. What's that, sir? Doyen asked. Minho smiled. They're going to see what happens when you trap a human ship and think you've won. They're going to learn that in space, as on Earth, the most dangerous prey is the one that looks cornered. Admiral Yoon sat in her command chair and thought about the human captain's words. Recognition, respect, reasonable requests, really. But the Empire did not work that way. The Empire ruled through strength and superiority. Admitting that humans deserved a place at the table meant admitting they were wrong to ignore them. Pride was a powerful thing. And sometimes, Yoon thought, pride could be more dangerous than any weapon. She looked at the tactical display. One small human ship surrounded by 300 Caltherian warships. The humans should be terrified. Instead, their captain spoke with confidence and made what sounded like veiled threats. What did they know that she did not? What were they planning? And why did she have the growing feeling that she was not the hunter in this situation, but the hunted? The shuttle ride from the Indomitable Dawn to SciFiPrime took 3 hours. Captain Minho sat quietly in the passenger compartment with his small delegation. Beside him was Commander An Ji-hye, head of ship security. Across from them sat diplomat Oh Min-seok, humanities expert on Caltherian culture and politics. Captain, are you sure about this? An asked for the 10th time. She was a cautious woman by nature. Her job was to keep people safe, and walking into the heart of the Empire felt like the opposite of safety. No, Minho admitted, but we don't have a choice. This is why we came. Oh Min-seok reviewed his notes on a datapad. He was older than the others, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 20 years studying the Caltherians, learning their language, understanding their culture, hoping for this exact moment. The Empress is 400 years old, Oh said quietly. She has ruled through 3 major wars and countless smaller conflicts. She is not soft, she is not kind, but she is intelligent and she understands power. That gives us a chance. What kind of chance? An asked. The chance to be heard. The chance to make our case, but we need to be careful. One wrong word, and we could start a war instead of preventing one. The shuttle began its descent to SciFiPrime. Through the window they could see the capital city. It was enormous, stretching across an entire continent. Buildings reached into the sky like metallic mountains. Ships moved between them in organized patterns. Everything was precise, perfect, controlled. They've been doing this for thousands of years, Minho observed. Building, growing, ruling, and we're just starting. They look at us and see children playing with toys. Then we show them we're not children, Oh replied. We show them we're young, yes, but capable. Different, but not inferior. The shuttle landed on a private platform near the Imperial Palace. The palace itself was breathtaking. It looked like it had been carved from a single piece of dark crystal. It reflected the light in strange ways, making it seem to shimmer and change. As they stepped off the shuttle, they were met by Caltherian guards. Tall figures in elaborate armor, carrying weapons that looked both ceremonial and deadly. The humans were scanned, searched, and examined. They had brought no weapons, nothing that could be used as a threat. They're thorough, An muttered as a scanner passed over her for the 3rd time. They're scared, Minho replied. Good. Fear and respect are close neighbors. They were escorted through the palace halls. The interior was as impressive as the exterior. Walls covered in artwork from a dozen different species. Floors made from polished stone that seemed to glow from within. Ceilings so high they disappeared into shadow. Finally, they reached a conference room. It was smaller than Minho expected. A simple round table with chairs. Windows looking out over the city, and waiting for them Chancellor Vorsek. The Chancellor was old even by Caltherian standards. His skin had faded to almost gray. His 3 eyes studied the humans with open suspicion. He did not stand when they entered. Captain Minho, I am Chancellor Vorsek. The Empress has asked me to conduct these negotiations on her behalf. Minho bowed. Chancellor, it is an honor to meet you. I'm sure, Vorsek said dryly. Please sit. Let us begin. They took their seats around the table. The Chancellor pulled up a holographic display showing a list of items. Humanity has requested diplomatic recognition, trade agreements, embassy rights, cultural exchange programs, and a voice in galactic affairs. These are significant requests. What does humanity offer in return? Diplomat O leaned forward. We offer partnership, Chancellor. Humanity is young, yes, but we bring fresh perspectives, new technologies, different ways of solving old problems. We have technologies, Vorsek replied. We have solutions. What we don't have is patience for species that breach our security and demand rewards for it. Minho felt the temperature in the room drop. With respect, Chancellor, we didn't breach your security for rewards. We did it because you left us no other choice. 10 years of messages. 10 years of being ignored. What would you have us do? Give up, disappear? Accept that we don't matter? You don't matter, Vorsek said bluntly. Not in the grand scale of galactic affairs. You control 30 systems. The Empire controls 10,000. You are a footnote in the history we write. We were a footnote, Minho corrected, until we walked through your supposedly impenetrable barriers. Until we demonstrated technology you don't understand. Now we're a question mark. And question marks make people nervous. The Chancellor's 3 eyes narrowed. Is that a threat? It's an observation, Minho replied calmly. Chancellor, let me be direct. We know things about your empire. Things you'd prefer remained private, such as? Minho pulled out his own datapad and displayed information. Your star drive technology is failing. The efficiency has dropped 12% over the last 50 years. Your engineers can't figure out why. In 200 years, half your fleet will be stranded. Vorsek's face remained neutral, but Minho saw his hands tighten on the table. Your outer territories are unstable, Minho continued. The Vrexian colonies are talking about independence. The Korthan mining worlds are reducing their production quotas. The Pelian systems are 2 years behind on their tribute payments. You're not as strong as you appear. How do you know these things? Vorsek demanded. Because we've been watching, O said quietly, for decades. We studied you. We learned everything we could. We didn't do it to hurt you. We did it to understand you, because we knew that someday we'd need to have this conversation. Commander An spoke for the first time. We also know about the rebellion brewing in the Karsha sector, and the food shortage you're hiding from your population, and the fact that your military is stretched thin, trying to maintain order across 10,000 systems. The Chancellor stood abruptly. You dare come here and list our problems? You dare try to embarrass the Empire? We dare to offer solutions, Minho said, standing as well. Chancellor, humanity is small. We don't threaten your power, but we have something you need. We have innovation. We have different perspectives. We have answers to questions you're struggling with. Like what? Vorsek challenged. Like your star drive problem. Engineer Park's voice came through Minho's communication device. She had stayed on the Indomitable Dawn but was listening to the negotiation. The efficiency loss is caused by quantum degradation in your drive cores. We figured it out in 3 days after analyzing your ship designs. We can fix it. Not immediately, but we can help you fix it. The Chancellor sat back down slowly. Why would you help us? What do you gain? Partnership, O replied. Trade, knowledge exchange. A seat at the table. Chancellor, the galaxy is changing. More species are developing space travel. More voices want to be heard. The Empire can either adapt and build alliances, or it can try to maintain control through force alone. One of those paths leads to stability. The other leads to collapse. Vorsek was quiet for a long moment. The room felt heavy with tension. Finally, he spoke. You make bold claims, but claims are easy. Can you prove you can solve our star drive problem? Minho nodded to O, who pulled up technical specifications on the holographic display. This is our phase skip drive. It uses some of the same principles as your star drives, but approaches the problem differently. See here? This is where your designs accumulate quantum instability, and here is how we prevent it. The Chancellor studied the display. His expression changed from suspicious to interested. This is very detailed information. Why give it to us freely? Because we want you to understand we're serious, Minho said. We're not here to play games. We're not here to trick you. We're here to build something better than what exists now. Before Vorsek could respond, alarms sounded throughout the palace. Red lights flashed. The Chancellor's communication device buzzed urgently. What's happening? An demanded, her hand instinctively reaching for a weapon she didn't have. Vorsek listened to his device, his face darkening. There's been an incident. A Caltharian military unit has launched an unauthorized attack. On your ship. Minho felt his blood turn cold. What? A hardline faction in the military. They believe negotiating with you is weakness. They've sent ships to destroy the Indomitable Dawn. The attack is happening now. Minho grabbed his communication device. Suji, Park. Respond, what's your status? Park's voice came through, strained and urgent. Captain, we're under attack. 6 Caltharian destroyers just opened fire without warning. Shields are holding, but we're taking heavy damage. Can you escape? Minho asked desperately. Not without leaving you behind, sir. We're not abandoning you. That's an order, engineer. Jump away, get to safety. No, sir. We came together. We leave together. On the Caltharian flagship still in orbit, Admiral Yoon saw the attack happening on her displays. She felt rage building inside her. This was wrong. This was dishonorable. She opened a channel to her entire fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Yoon. The attack on the human vessel is unauthorized and illegal. All ships under my command will move to intercept the attacking forces immediately. Protect the human ship. That's an order. Her tactical officer looked shocked. Admiral, you're committing treason. The military command did not authorize this attack, Yoon interrupted. This is a rogue action by extremists, and I will not let it stand. Now move! 3 days passed in negotiations. 3 days of discussions, arguments, compromises, and agreements. Captain Minho barely slept. When he did sleep, he dreamed of the journey home and wondering if they had truly succeeded or only delayed the inevitable conflict. But on the morning of the 4th day, everything changed. The treaty signing took place in the Grand Hall of SciFiPrime. The room was massive, able to hold thousands of people. Caltherian nobles filled the seats. Military officers stood at attention. Representatives from dozens of species that served the Empire watched with careful eyes. And at the center of it all, Captain Han Minho stood beside Empress Velmora. The treaty was displayed on holographic screens throughout the hall. Every word had been argued over. Every phrase had been examined from every possible angle. But finally it was done. This treaty recognizes humanity as an independent civilization, the Empress announced to the assembled crowd. They will have full diplomatic rights, embassy status on SciFiPrime, trade agreements on equal terms, and a voice in galactic affairs when those affairs concern them. There was murmuring throughout the hall. Some sounded pleased. Many sounded worried. A few sounded angry. The Empress continued. I know some of you disagree with this decision. Some of you believe humanity should be kept in their place, should remain insignificant. But I ask you this, where is their place? They passed through the Crimson Barrier. They demonstrated technologies we don't have. They earned respect through capability and courage. What more should we require? Minho stepped forward to speak. His voice was translated into Caltherian and broadcast throughout the hall. On behalf of humanity, I thank the Empress and the people of the Caltherian Empire. We came here not as enemies, but as neighbors seeking recognition. We asked only to be heard, to be seen, to be acknowledged as a civilization worthy of respect. He paused and looked around the enormous room. I know many of you still doubt us, still see us as primitive, as children playing among the stars. That's fine. Let your doubts motivate you to watch us carefully. Watch us as we build, as we grow, as we prove that youth and capability are not opposites. We will show you what humanity can be. The Empress signed the treaty with an elaborate gesture. Minho signed it with his own hand using a simple pen from Earth. The treaty was complete, official, binding. As they left the Grand Hall, Commander An walked beside Minho. Captain, do you think they'll honor this? Really honor it? They'll have to, Minho replied. Too many eyes watching now. Too much at stake. The Empress is right. The galaxy is changing. They can either change with it or be left behind. Diplomato was already thinking ahead. Captain, we need to get word back to Earth immediately. The government needs to know we succeeded. We need to send more diplomats. Start building the embassy. Begin the real work. But before they could discuss further, Chancellor Vorsek appeared. The old Caltherian looked tired but somewhat less hostile than before. Captain Minho, a word? They stepped aside from the others. The Chancellor spoke quietly. What happened here will have consequences. Big consequences. There are powerful people in the Empire who wanted this to fail, who wanted you dead. You've made enemies. I expected that, Minho said. Change always creates enemies. But you've also made allies, Vorsek continued. Admiral Yoon, for instance. She committed career suicide to protect your ship. She's being investigated for treason. Minho felt anger rise. She saved lives. She prevented a disaster. How is that treason? Because she disobeyed orders. Because she chose honor over obedience, the Chancellor paused. But between you and me, Captain, the Empress is not going to let Yoon be punished. She's too valuable, too rare. Officers who think for themselves are dangerous, but officers who only follow orders are useless. What will happen to her? Officially? A reprimand. Unofficially? Probably a promotion. The Empress values results, and Yoon's results were good. Your ship survived. The crisis was averted. That matters more than protocol. Minho nodded slowly. Thank you for telling me, Chancellor. Don't thank me, Vorsek replied. I still think you're dangerous. I still think humanity is unpredictable and troublesome. But I also think the Empress is right. The galaxy is changing. I'm too old to like it, but I'm not too old to see it coming. Back on the Indomitable Dawn, engineer Park Suji was coordinating repairs. The attack had damaged several systems. Nothing critical, but enough to require work before the journey home. How long? Kim Doyen asked. He was helping with the repairs, eager to stay busy and not think about how close they had come to dying. 2 days, Park replied. Maybe 3. The phase skip drive took some damage when we had to do emergency evasion. I want it perfect before we jump again. Technician Lee Sora joined them carrying repair equipment. I still can't believe we made it. When those ships opened fire, I was certain we were done. We made it because Admiral Yoon chose honor over hatred, Park said. Because not all Caltharians think the same way. That's important to remember. We're not dealing with a single mind. We're dealing with billions of individuals, each with their own thoughts and beliefs. Some of whom tried to kill us, Doyen pointed out. And some of whom saved us, Park countered. Remember both. Always remember both. On SciFiPrime, news of the treaty was spreading. The Imperial news networks broadcasted across every system. Humanity had been recognized. The impossible breach was forgiven. The humans were now official neighbors. Reactions were mixed. Some species saw hope. If humanity could earn recognition, maybe they could too. Others saw danger. If the Crimson Barrier could be breached once, it could be breached again. And some saw opportunity. In the outer territories where Caltharian control was weakest, leaders began making plans. If the Empire was willing to negotiate with outsiders, maybe they would negotiate with dissatisfied colonies. Maybe change was possible without war. Admiral Yoon stood in her quarters aboard the flagship and watched the news broadcasts. She had been formally reprimanded that morning. Her second-in-command had delivered the message with barely concealed sympathy. Everyone knew what she had done. Everyone knew why. Her communication device buzzed. It was a direct message from the Empress. Admiral Yoon, you are reassigned effective immediately. You will serve as military liaison to the new human embassy. Your job will be to facilitate cooperation between our forces and theirs. Congratulations on your promotion to High Admiral. Yoon read the message 3 times. A reprimand and a promotion in the same day. Only the Empress could do something so contradictory and make it make sense. She looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Indomitable Dawn was preparing to return home. The humans would tell their story. More ships would come. More demands would be made. The galaxy was changing, and she would be part of that change. It was terrifying, and exciting, and necessary. 2 days later, the Indomitable Dawn was ready to depart. Captain Minho stood on the bridge one final time before the journey home. His crew was at their stations. Everyone looked different than they had when they first arrived. More confident, more aware of what they had accomplished. Captain, we're receiving a transmission, Officer Choi announced. It's Admiral Yoon. The screen showed Yoon in her new uniform. High Admiral rank insignia gleamed on her collar. Captain Minho, I wanted to wish you safe travels, and to tell you something. What's that, Admiral? What you did here, it mattered. Not just for humanity, for all of us. You reminded us that courage and capability can come from unexpected places, that youth and wisdom are not opposites, that the galaxy is big enough for all of us if we're willing to share it. Minho smiled. Thank you, Admiral. For everything. For protecting my ship. For choosing what was right over what was easy. You saved lives that day. I did my job, Yoon replied. And now you do yours. Go home. Tell your people what you accomplished. Bring more ships. More diplomats. More engineers and scientists and dreamers. We have much to learn from each other. The transmission ended. Minho turned to his crew. Take us home. The phase skip drive powered up. The Indomitable Dawn flickered and vanished, jumping back toward human space. The journey home took a week. When they finally arrived at Earth, they found a hero's welcome waiting. News of the treaty had reached home days earlier. The entire planet knew what Captain Han Minho and his crew had accomplished. But Minho knew this was just the beginning. In his quarters, he recorded a final log entry. Mission complete. We breached the Crimson Barrier. We forced the Caltharian Empire to see us as equals. We earned recognition through capability and courage. But the real work starts now. Now we have to maintain this relationship. Build on it. Prove we deserve the respect we demanded. He paused and looked out at Earth through the window. They asked who let that human battleship in. The answer is simple: we let ourselves in. And the galaxy will never be the same. But neither will we. We're not alone anymore. We're part of something bigger. And that means responsibilities as well as rights. 3 months after the indomitable Dawn returned to Earth, 3 more human ships departed for different parts of the Caltharian Empire. Not warships this time, diplomatic vessels. Each carried ambassadors, scientists, engineers, and teachers. Each carried the message that humanity was here to stay. Here to participate, here to contribute. The 15 minutes felt like hours. Captain Minho watched the countdown on his personal display while his crew prepared for Protocol Horizon. Each of them knew their role. They had practiced this scenario 100 times in simulation, but simulation was nothing like reality. Drive status? Minho asked quietly. Engineer Park Suji checked her readings one final time. Phase skip drive is fully charged, Captain. All systems are green. But sir, I have to remind you, 10 minutes maximum, Minho finished for her. I know. We'll make it count. On the Caltharian flagship, Admiral Yoon received a priority transmission from Grand Marshal Tekvar. Admiral, the Council has made its decision, the Grand Marshal said. His face looked tired and angry. You are ordered to destroy the human vessel, immediately. We cannot allow this breach to go unpunished. Yoon felt something twist in her stomach. Grand Marshal, with respect, I believe we should attempt communication first. Understand their capabilities before. The order is given, Admiral. Fire on the human ship. Destroy it completely. Leave nothing to recover. The transmission ended. Yoon looked at her tactical officer. The young Caltharian waited for the command. All she had to do was give the order. 300 ships would fire. The human vessel would cease to exist. But something made her hesitate. Admiral, the tactical officer prompted. Prepare to fire, Yoon said slowly. All ships. Full salvo. On my mark. On the indomitable Dawn, alarms began to sound. Officer Choi Hyunwoo looked up from his station with wide eyes. Captain, the Caltharian fleet is powering weapons. Energy signatures are spiking across all 300 ships. They're preparing to fire. Minho took a deep breath. Time until they fire? 30 seconds, Captain. Suji, activate Protocol Horizon. Now. Park Suji's fingers moved across her console. Activating. May whatever gods watch over fools and humans protect us. The phase skip drive hummed to life. But unlike before, when it had jumped the ship through space, this time it did something different. The drive created quantum fluctuations around the indomitable Dawn. The ship began to flicker, then divide, then multiply. On the Caltharian flagship, alarm screamed. The tactical officer jumped from his seat. Admiral, sensor readings are going insane. The human ship. There are multiple contacts, 10, 20, 50. Admiral, I'm reading 200 human ships. Yoon stared at her display screen. Where one small vessel had been, now hundreds appeared. They filled the space inside the Caltharian sphere. Each one looked identical to the original indomitable Dawn. Each one showed the same energy signatures, the same mass readings, the same everything. That's impossible, Yoon whispered. What do we do, Admiral? Her tactical officer asked. Which one do we fire at? All of them, Yoon ordered. Fire on all contacts, full spread. Fire! 300 Caltharian warships opened fire. Energy beams and missiles filled the space inside their formation. Explosions lit up the darkness. The firepower being unleashed could have destroyed a dozen planets. It all hit the human ships and passed right through them. No hits, the tactical officer reported. All weapons passed through the targets. Admiral, they're not real. They're illusions. Inside the real indomitable Dawn, Kim Doyen held onto his console as the ship shook from near misses. Captain, they're firing on all the duplicates. Some shots are coming very close to our actual position. Hold steady, Minho ordered calmly. Navigator Lee, keep us moving. Random pattern. Don't let them triangulate our real position. Navigator. Lee Sora worked her controls with incredible precision. She was young but talented. Her hands moved smoothly, adjusting the ship's position by small amounts. Just enough to stay away from the weapon's fire. Just enough to survive. "How long can you maintain the duplicates?" Minho asked Park. 8 more minutes, Captain. Maybe 9 if I push it." On the Caltherian ships, confusion turned to panic. They kept firing, but every shot hit nothing. The human ships just stayed there, untouched and seemingly untouchable. Admiral Yoon forced herself to think clearly. "Stop firing. Cease all weapons. Now." The order went out. The shooting stopped. Silence fell across the battlefield. The duplicate human ships remained, surrounding the Caltherian fleet from the inside. "Admiral, what are your orders?" her first officer asked. Yoon studied the display. 200 identical ships. All fake. Or were they? Maybe one was real and the rest were fake. But which one? Then she understood. It's a bluff. A very good bluff, but still a bluff. That human captain is showing us what they can do. This is another demonstration. What do you mean, Admiral? Think about it. If they could really create 200 warships from nothing, why didn't they bring them in the first place? Why come alone? No, this is their technology, yes, but it's also a message. They're saying, look what we can do. Look what we chose not to do. On the indomitable dawn, Captain Minho opened a channel to all Caltherian ships. "Admiral Yoon, I hope we haven't caused too much alarm. Allow me to explain what you're seeing." Yoon's face appeared on his screen. She looked shaken but was regaining composure. "Please do, Captain. I'm very interested to hear this explanation." "What you're witnessing is quantum duplication. The phase skip drive that allowed us to pass through your barriers can also create phase-shifted copies of our ship. They exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Your weapons pass through them because they're not fully in your reality." "Why tell us this?" Yoon asked. "Why reveal your capabilities?" "Because we're not here to trick you or deceive you, Admiral. We're here to talk. But we needed you to understand that we're not helpless, we're not primitive. We have technologies that you don't, and we could use them maliciously. But we choose not to." Minho gestured to his tactical display. "I'm now going to prove to you that these are duplicates. I'm going to shut them down one by one so you can see which ship is real. Watch." He nodded to Park. She began deactivating the quantum duplicates. One by one, the phantom ships vanished. 200 became 100. 100 became 50. 50 became 20. 20 became 10. Finally, only 3 ships remained. "One of these 3 is real," Minho said. "The other 2 are duplicates. Can you guess which one, Admiral?" Yoon studied the 3 remaining contacts. They looked identical. She could not tell the difference. "I don't know," she admitted. "Neither do I," Minho said, surprising her. "The duplicates are so perfect that even we can't always tell which is real from the inside. But that's not the point. The point is this. The 2 remaining duplicates vanished. Only 1 ship remained. The indomitable Dawn hung in space, surrounded by 300 Caltherian warships. "We came to talk," Minho said. "Not to fight, not to threaten. If we wanted war, we could have used this technology differently. We could have created confusion and attacked while you were vulnerable. We didn't. Because we want peace, Admiral. We want recognition. We want to be heard." On SciFiPrime, Empress Velmora watched the transmission with Chancellor Vorsek at her side. The throne room was full of nobles and military officers, all watching the same broadcast. "Remarkable," the Empress said quietly. "They breach our defenses. They survive our weapons. And they use every moment to prove they mean no harm. Either they're the most sincere species in the galaxy, or the most clever." "They're dangerous, Your Majesty," Vorsek replied. "This technology could change everything. If other species learn that the Crimson Barrier can be breached, then perhaps it's time we learned to do more than hide behind barriers," the Empress interrupted. She stood from her throne. "Open a direct channel to Admiral Yoon. I want to speak with this human captain myself." Back on the flagship, Admiral Yoon received the notification. Her eyes widened. "Captain Minho, please stand by." The Empress wishes to speak with you. Minho felt his heart beat faster. This was it. The moment everything had been building toward. I'm ready, Admiral. The screen changed. The Empress appeared. She was ancient and regal. Her 3 eyes studied Minho with intelligence that came from centuries of rule. When she spoke, her voice carried absolute authority. Captain Han Minho of humanity, you have my attention. You have proven your capabilities. You have demonstrated both your power and your restraint. I am impressed, which is not something I say often. Minho bowed deeply. Your Majesty, it is an honor to speak with you. My military advisors want me to destroy your ship. They say you're a threat, a danger to Imperial security. What do you say to that? I say that we could have been a threat, Your Majesty, but we chose not to be. We could have attacked. We chose to talk. We could have stayed hidden. We chose to be seen. Every choice we've made has been in service of peace. The Empress was quiet for a moment. Why does humanity want diplomatic recognition so badly that you would risk your lives like this? Because we're tired of being ignored, Minho replied honestly. Because we deserve a voice. Because the galaxy is big enough for all of us, but only if we talk to each other instead of dismissing each other. Your Majesty, you rule an empire of 10,000 systems. We control 30. We're not asking to be equal to you. We're asking to be acknowledged, to be respected as a living civilization with rights and dignity. And if I refuse, then we'll go home, Minho said simply. And someday, another human ship will come. And another. And another. We won't stop trying to be heard, Your Majesty. That's what humans do. We're stubborn, we don't give up.